Okay, welcome everyone to Web Conference 2. So we are already in week 3. Can you believe that? Oof, the end is in sight. Although there's a couple of assessments before we get there. So before I go, so the objective for me today is to go through assessment 2, your research essay, and assessment 3, your learning and development proposal. Assessment 2, your essay is due at the end of next week, week 4, Sunday, February the 4th at 11:55 p.m. Your assessment 3, your learning and development proposal, is due in week 6. Now, we have our last web conference in week 6, so I thought I'd talk about it now so that you can get going on that. So before we start going through the assessments, gosh, I'd love to hear from you guys. How are you going with the course? How are you finding the discussions? Any questions that have come up so far? If you've got a question for me, just turn on your mic.
Yeah, no, it's Dario here. The content's pretty good. Like it's there's a lot there. Like I'm just finding with that journal, there's lots of exercises along the way. So
Look, it is intense. I know, I agree with you. There's a lot of content. It's intense, but it's good.
Yeah.
And every week for the discussions and the reflection, you don't have to post everything. So, the minimum is one post and reply to one student's post for both the discussion and the reflection. So, some weeks it's great to see more than that, and other weeks I know it's not possible.
Yep, cool.
But I'm glad you're enjoying the content. What about the rest of you? Gio, Andres, tell me how things are going.
I'm really enjoying the material, Mel, and what I have found is that a lot of the theory you can reflect back on your work experiences, particularly in my previous roles working in the rail industry and in the training and education sectors. And it's actually good to see some of the theory applied to some of the situations and events that you encounter in those roles and see how the academic research actually applies to that. So I've really enjoyed that. And obviously the reflection that you do and that you have on your own career, that's very valuable for me as well.
Oh, Andres, I am so delighted to hear that. Yeah, I think in the module you've currently been doing, we've been looking at adult learning and development. And I think, being able to relate things back to yourself and critically reflect, is a very powerful learning experience. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, the reflection that you're able to have in terms of communities of practice, for example, which is one of the topics that we have recently studied. I've been part of communities of practice before in the past, but it's always great to see a little bit more of meat into it, more theory about it. So the next time I have the opportunity, so the next time I have the opportunity to be part of it, you will be able to contribute a little bit more in terms of the structure, how it should be run, and learn from that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be benefited from that.
Oh, good. Well, I think communities of practice, that might be an area that you've picked for your research essay. I'll be interested to find out later, Andre.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. I haven't picked up the topic yet, but it's definitely on the table.
Okay, well, we can think about that today after we've been through the assessment. And Gio, what about you? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here with a stable connection today, and I've been, same as Andres, I've been liking the course because, as he says, a lot of things, as he said, like academic researches and that stuff, really apply and really are really real things that happen day by day in the office, in the work and everywhere, and it's like really funny somehow to see that all that stuff is really happening, or happened to me once or happened to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see all that, but I like it a lot.
Oh, I know. I love seeing theory applied to the workplace. And I think, as Andre said, it's you can learn so much from, reflecting on that, how things have gone, what's been done well, what could be done better. So I'm glad to hear you're enjoying things, Gio.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear. That's awesome, guys. Well, listen, if there's no other questions, you can always ask me at the end. I thought we'd go through assessment 2. Now, first thing I want to do is share my screen with you. Let me see this one. Okay, now. Let me just organize my screen, guys. Sorry. Come on, there we go. Right, now, you should be able to see the LMS homepage. Is that what you can see, everyone? Can I have a yes? Okay, Andre, yes, good. If you can see it, I would have thought everyone can see it. All right, awesome. Great, so let's go firstly and have a look down at assessment 2. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to click on the instructions and I want to go through those with you in detail. I'm going to be marking your assessments. So I think it's going to be very, oh, what's happened? Logged out. Okay, let me log back in. I'm going to be marking your assessments. So I think it's really important to understand what I'm looking for and expectations, because I can tell all of you want to do well. I want you to do well. All right, so let's have a look. Individual assessment 2, human resource development and adult workplace learning. So this task involves researching and writing an academic essay where you are examining a current area in human resource development and adult workplace learning. So we need to see that link between the area in HRD and adult learning. Your essay will be approximately 1,500 words, which includes your in-text references and your reference list. So you are going to have to be very succinct and to the point, because there's a lot that you need to cover in this essay. So you're going to have to keep your writing tight and succinct. And we're looking for very professional academic writing. Okay, so some of the key areas for you to address for your topic and question, which you are going to pick, is firstly, the topic area that you pick, we're looking for a thorough description and critical analysis of the relevant academic literature in that area, so a literature review. Secondly, we're looking for your use of referencing. So we're looking for well-integrated supporting references to highly credible sources. So research studies, case studies, as well as academic peer-reviewed journals. So here at La Trobe, we use Academy of Management referencing style. I'll show you a bit more about that later, but that is the style that you're expected to use. Your essay should also demonstrate a reflection that relates your analysis to your personal adult learning experiences, career development, and work-related learning goals, either experienced or observed. So that's going to work well for all of you because you're very much enjoying that part of the course. So I look forward to having a look at your reflections. The essay also needs to involve include an evaluation of the importance of your chosen topic to HRD and adult learning within organisations, so from an organisational context. So you want to build up a case for your topic, why it is important, and you want to support that with academic literature. Finally, the topic area that you choose, we would like you to demonstrate an indication of related issues, trends, and human resource development practices. So that's quite a lot to address in a 1,500-word essay. All right, let me just stop for a minute. Has anyone got any questions? You can either tap me a question or just turn on your mic. Okay, let's have a look here. Oh, okay. Yes, with the reflection area. Yes, you can. You can refer to yourself in the first person, I, me, we. That's appropriate when you are doing a reflection. So very good question. Thank you. Who is CFU, by the way? Who was that? Someone's got their mic on.
Yeah, just Dario again, just to confirm. So it's 1,500 words, including all the references.
1,500 words, including your in-text references.
Yeah,
and excluding your reference list.
Yeah, cool. All right, sorry.
Okay. So yes, so we just talked about. Sorry. Any other questions before I keep going? I'm happy to be interrupted at any point. Okay, so we just talked through 5 key areas that you need to address as you are discussing the question that you pick. Okay, let's just go down a little bit. So you're required to choose and explore one, and I make you take note, one only, of the key areas that relate to human resource development and adult learning within contemporary organisations. So no more than one. We're looking for a focused discussion on one area. So the areas set out there: transformational learning, experiential learning, communities of practice, team learning, peer mentoring, and leadership mentoring. So you need to look at one of those. Once you've chosen your topic, do some reading and research. You can then pick a question. Now, you've been provided with a list of sample questions. You can pick from there, or you can use those questions to formulate your own. But we did say if you decide to do that, you need to let me know if there's going to be any amendments to any of the questions. Okay, so this essay is looking for you to do more than just than literally state what you've read in the literature. We're looking for you to be analytical and critical. So that's what we're looking for at this stage of your postgraduate degree. Succinct academic writing and critical analysis. They're the 2 things that are really important. We're looking for how well you are grasping the relevant theory and frameworks and using that to underpin your discussion. And then, of course, how you can apply that to your own experiences and reflect on those. So academic essay based on a minimum of 10 academic and peer-reviewed journals. So that is a minimum. I would expect with an essay like this, you're going to be citing far more than 10. You can include additional information obtained from credible sources. So, it might be things like books, newspaper articles, even certain web sources. These are just supplementary to your journal articles. So do not rely on these in your academic essay. They are simply supplementary to the peer-reviewed journal articles. No wiki and similar sources are not acceptable. All right, let's keep going then. Okay, so this is what we're looking for in terms of your assessment structure. So I'm looking for a very well-structured, well-planned out academic research essay. So the first point here is we're looking for you to appropriately narrow the scope of your topic to relate to the research question that you've picked. And so frame your essay question around what you present, the literature review of your research topic, and make sure your introduction contains a very clear thesis statement. So do you all know what a thesis statement is? For those of you that just need a refresher, a thesis statement is a very succinct statement that tells us exactly what your essay will be about. Okay, so if we want to talk more about that, we can afterwards. So we're looking for the ability for you to narrow the scope of your topic and to provide a very clear thesis statement in your introduction. The second point relates to context. So your question is appropriately framed and focused and is responded to in the essay. So make sure you answer your question. It's going to be very important for you to deconstruct the question that you have come up with. So we'll talk a little about that in a little while. We're looking for very well structured essays. So introduction, body, conclusion. Make sure you focus very, very much on your paragraph structure. So each paragraph should start with a topic sentence, which tells you what the paragraph will be about. Make sure you present the relevant theory and support that using examples. And your paragraphs should link together. So together they're going to tell a story. So focus on your structure. The next point there just goes back to the introduction. Make sure you have a thesis statement. The next point there, thorough explanation, reflection. So this relates to outcomes. We're expecting to see your paper to clearly explains the theory, your ability to reflect on that and critically analyse what you have read. And of course, we're looking for the ability for you to bring it all together or synthesize what you've read. Again, the next point is regarding reflection. So we've talked about that already. Developing logical and well-supported arguments. So this is where you use theory to support your arguments and discussion. And then you give examples to support that. Finally, we're looking at how well you express yourself in English, so syntax, grammar, etc. In terms of formatting requirements, so I'd appreciate if you could stick to these, please. Make sure you include a cover page which clearly states your details and your question. Special attention to grammar, spelling, transitions, so make sure you appropriately self-edit. Include page numbering, 12-point standard font, 1.5 spacing, it'd be great. And make sure you use Academy of Management referencing for both your in-text references and your reference list. So this might be a good time to talk about referencing. So I'm quite strict about referencing. There's plenty of help available to you with Academy of Management style. I'm sure you're very familiar with this. There is a link. Oh, it must be on another page. There's a link on another page which I'll find you, and you can also go in the library and use their referencing tool, which is very good. So it will show you how to reference both in text and in the reference list different sources of information such as peer-reviewed academic journals, websites, books, newspaper articles, etc. So please have the library guide handy while you are doing your referencing. I've actually printed it out. There's a PDF version. I'll find it for you. Now, I am very, very hard on plagiarism, very hard on plagiarism. So I urge you to submit your assignments and check your Turnitin reports. And if there are any issues with paraphrasing, then address them before you submit your final draft. If you've got any direct quotes, make sure you are appropriately referencing those. And I just urge you, don't over rely on direct quotes. Only use them when they add something that you can't say in your own words. Okay, so is there any questions on what I've gone through? Now, who is CFU? I can't work out who you are.
Mel, with the topic, can I just ask? So there was a list of topics that were listed that were there. Is the preference to use those questions, or
let me come to that. I'll go through that. So I've gone through the requirements of the question with you, so you know what you need to do. let me just, it probably makes sense to go through the marking rubric now, just so I can show you exactly how I'll be marking your essay. And then we're going to have a look at the questions. How does that sound? All good? Whoever CFU is, yeah, we'll talk about your question in a minute. We're just going to go through the requirements and rubrics first. Okay, cool. All right, let me then get the marking rubric so I can just talk you through this. So I'm marking your papers, as I said, and I am going to be marking exactly as per the rubric. So you should be able to see the rubric now. Let's just go through this. So this assignment is worth 30% of your grade. And it shows here the criteria by which we're marking it, as well as the weighting for each criteria. So firstly, 30% of the mark goes to analysis. So here we're looking for the ability that you have narrowed the scope of your topic towards your research question. You've shown us why it's important. And you have demonstrated critical and evaluative thinking whilst you were doing that. So we're looking for analysis there, 30%. Research and evidence, and this also will include your referencing, is 20%. So we're looking for researchers of good quality. So we're looking for the the sources of information you've used. Are they credible? Peer-reviewed academic journals. Have you relied too much on websites and other sources? You have been able to appropriately select the sources that are most relevant to you. It is, you've well supported your arguments with theoretical concepts and frameworks which are relevant to your question. And you have referenced appropriately, both in text and in your reference list. So that's what research and evidence is looking at. The next, excuse me guys, okay, the next criteria here is critical reflection. This is worth 20% of your mark. So here we're looking at how well you've been able to reflect on what you've presented and applied it back to your work and life experiences and other observations. So most of you are going to do well there. So, you know, we're looking for how well you've understood the relevance of those theoretical concepts that you've presented to your own experience. Okay, and the last criteria here, structure and organisation, 10%. So here we're looking for an excellent planning and structured approach. We're looking for an essay that's integrated, cohesive, well supported. Sorry guys, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today, very annoying. So we're here I'm looking at how well you have structured your thesis statement, your topic sentences, your paragraph structure, etc. So I think that gives you a pretty clear idea on how the marking of the essay is going to work. Any questions on that before I move on to the questions?
Yeah, I mean, just regarding on the critical reflection, how are we gonna match the idea, the concepts, the thesis statement and everything to a critical reflection, like with an I, with a me, with a...
Oh yes, we've addressed that already. You can refer to yourself in the first person when you're writing about reflections.
But for example, in an essay, generally you have like the main idea in the first like sentence, and then you have like to have like these critical reviews, like going forward or not forward your idea, like with two or more concepts or two or more authors, right? But last the last like sentence of each paragraph in the body will come with a reflection, or the reflection will come to the conclusion. I don't know if you understood me somehow.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused with that as well. So the structure, you come up with your topic and the scope. You do an analysis on the scope. Then you've got the research that's backing that scope, and then your critical reflection is last. So you follow the rubric, or is it a paragraph of analysis, scope, and then reflection? I think that's. I don't know.
You can you can structure the essay how you think is going to be best. So really you want to, the idea is to structure an essay in a way that tells a story and is cohesive. So where do you think it makes sense to put the reflection in your essay? So that's going to depend on how you've written your essay, really.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Melanie, but the way I'm thinking about it is, for example, in terms of communities of practice, I will review all the literature, the academic research, and the academic literature that is available on this particular topic, and then link to that, whether that confirms or not my experience with communities of practice in the past, and that will be part of the reflection within the body of the paper.
You don't know. You don't want your research to be too wide, because what you've got to do is you start off with a wide approach, but then you've got to focus it down towards your research topic or question. So you want your reflection to be relevant to your research topic or question. Let's have a look at the reflection questions that might help. So you've got the option to choose to choose one of these key areas that relate to HRD and adult learning. And then we've given you some sample questions below, so you are free to choose one of those or slightly modify it. Now, I think you said, are you safer to use these questions? Well, we know these questions work and they cover a wide range of workplace experiences. So if you're not sure, then it's probably easier to go with one of the questions that are here. There's at least one or two questions for each of those key areas that you can pick from. So now I'm happy to talk to you about your questions in your area. Yes. Who am I speaking to?
Andres here.
Okay, Andres.
If we decide to go with a question that is not listed in the sample, do we have to get approval from you to use that question, or do we go ahead and use it and then support the answer on the literature?
No. If you are going to use another question, you need to send it to me, along with 2 peer-reviewed academic journals that you will use in your discussion.
All right. Thank you. And also, in terms of the articles, is there a particular time frame for the articles that we will be using? Like, will you prefer more recent articles, or can we just access whatever is available?
Okay, well, what I'd say is, some of these theoretical areas, you're going to find seminal articles, which might be a little bit older. These might be key articles, which are a bit older. But yes, you don't want to be using references that are too old consistently.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. So guys, this is the opportunity. I've got another assessment that I need to go through with you, but this is your opportunity. Have you all picked your question? And do you have any concerns or questions to me about that? You want to check it out?
Well,
anyone?
I'm okay. I already chose my question, and it's the number 5 actually. My question.
Okay, so who am I talking to? Sorry, I can't see who I'm talking to. Let me just
Giovanni.
See. Giovanni. Okay. Cool. Okay, so you've picked question 5.
Yep, question number 5.
Okay, cool. And it's quite a wide question, so you can do quite a lot with that. And I just encourage all of you, when you've formulated your question or picked your question, you need to deconstruct your question very carefully to make sure you address all aspects of the question. So, for example, the question you've picked, the topic there is informal mentoring, and it's looking at whether it's more effective than formal mentoring. So you'd be wanting to do a bit of a, at least defining those two terms supported by academic literature. You'd want to be doing a bit of a compare and contrast. And then you're going to want to look at the outcomes in terms of growth and development. So you would expect to see some research studies there that would back up outcomes and results. So make sure you all thoroughly deconstruct the question so you address all aspects of it. And of course, once you've got your question, you've understood what you need to do, then you need to overlay over that the key areas that you're required to address. So we went through those earlier, those 5 key areas.
It's a lot to do in 1,500 words.
Yes, I told you. Yeah. Your essay needs to be, you need to filter out what's important. It needs to be succinct and to the point. So yes, I agree. It's one of the challenges of this essay is to keep it within the word limit.
Yeah, so I've gone for 4, the communities of practice, because I've run a few of those. I run most of the ones at AMP for the advisors that run businesses in different areas. So I suppose to me, I've got plenty of industry and occupation examples in sort of financial services. It's more about the linking that, I guess, back to some of the concepts that are there. So,
well, yeah, you can obviously with that question, the key topic is communities of practice. So you would present the academic literature around that, and you'd be wanting to. It's stating there encourages knowledge sharing and learning. So again, you'd be wanting to present some of the research studies that might support or other that view. And then this is where you can bring in other course concepts, so link in other concepts, and then you can use those rich examples that you've got already to explore what you've presented in terms of theory.
So you can bring in something around collaboration and those sort of things, those type of theories as well in that space.
Absolutely. We're looking for you to be able to link to relevant concepts. HRD concepts. So good. So that sounds like a very good question for you. What about the rest of you? Have you thought about your question? Have you picked it?
Sorry, Mel. Andres here.
Yeah, hi.
As we were discussing, I think I will be leaning towards communities of practice as well.
Okay.
Given that Dario is already thinking about taking that question, are the questions still available for anyone else?
No, I'm very happy for you to take that question, and I'd love to see your perspective on that.
All right, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so who else? Is that everyone? Anyone I haven't spoken to? No, that's all of you. Okay, excellent. Well, I think we have covered assessment 2. Now listen, I want to go through assessment 3 with you as well today because, as I said, we won't be meeting again until week 6 when this is due. I thought you might want to bring the web conference 3 earlier in the week. So if you've got any questions, so you've got a chance to work on them before the essay's due on Sunday. Would that suit you guys better to move it forward? Just type me a yes, no, maybe.
Sorry, can you say that again, Mel? Sorry, I missed that.
Sure. So we're going to go through assessment 3 now. Now, that is due in week 6. We have our last web conference scheduled in week 6 on the Thursday, and your assignment's due on the Sunday. Would you like me to move the web conference earlier in the week to give you some more time to work on any feedback you might get? Okay, cool. All right, I thought the answer might be yes. Well, how about I'll see if I can schedule it for a Monday. So it just seems hit and miss who can come. Can you guys be there on a Monday? Same time? Oh, can I do Monday? Yes, I can. Monday good? Okay. All right, let us have a look then at Assessment 3. Okay, so assessment 3 is due in week 6 on the Sunday. Let's have a look at the instructions. All right, so with this assessment, assessment 3, also individual, you are going to be developing a work group learning and development proposal. And I just want to let you know at this point, this assessment is also linked to assessment 4, where you'll be presenting a video. We'll talk more about that in our next web conference. So what you need to do is to develop a learning and development proposal to meet the needs of an identifiable group of individuals within an organisation. So you've actually been provided with a case study of Red Telecom, and you will be looking specifically at their team leaders. So your learning and development proposal needs to describe and analyse appropriate interventions for the case study group within the context of their workplace. So here we're looking for your ability to apply theory to a real life situation. Now, it's very important with any assessment you write it in the appropriate context. So here you are a manager and you are addressing your proposal to senior management for approval. So this will be in the format of a very formal business report, business proposal. So we still need to see good, I'll talk to you how you incorporate your references. We still need to see very high quality academic writing and referencing, but sticking with the context. So the purpose or objective of your learning and development proposal is to convince senior management to adopt your proposal by showing that it is both necessary, so you have built a business case, and you also show that it will produce positive organisational outcomes, so you need to demonstrate that. Your actual learning and development plan or proposal needs to be included as an appendix item in your report, so it's not considered part of the word count. Of course, you will describe it and refer to it throughout your report. As I've already told you, this assessment is linked to assessment 4, where you'll be developing a short video where you'll provide a simulated verbal pitch to senior management about your proposal. So I'm looking for a very well structured, this report needs to be extremely structured, okay? The more structured, the better. A business report, professional business report or proposal includes a table of contents and an executive summary. Okay, let's just have a look. By the way, sorry, I probably forgot to mention that this proposal is 1,200 to 1,800 words long. So you need to stick within that word limit. So what are some of the areas that you need to address in your proposal? You want to, firstly, analyse, propose and describe various learning and development interventions appropriate to the workplace group. Secondly, you want to underpin your proposal or support your proposal with relevant theory to set the stage. So you want that to be theory that is relevant to your interventions and to the group. You are required to research specific competencies related to those team leaders, and then write a coherent learning and development proposal with the context of your audience in mind. You have to apply both formal and informal workplace learning to your proposed strategy. So make sure you include both of those in your interventions. And we're looking for proposals which are, you know, original, demonstrate critical thinking, understanding, and originality. Okay, so while in formulating how to go about your assessment here, go and have a look online at various templates for learning and development plans to help you formulate your template. We have provided a very basic template. I'll show you in a minute, but I think you can probably do better. Make sure that you formulate your learning and development plan with your audience in mind. So you are persuading senior management to adopt your proposal. And finally, you need to apply the 70-20-10 model of learning and development in formulating your plan. Who knows what this is, 70-20-10 model?
Well, actually,
learning framework where, sorry.
I don't mind, one of you.
You got it.
Gio,
no, I was going to say that,
yeah.
Sorry, it's Andres, Melanie.
Yes.
I was going to say that the 70-20-10 is a learning framework that considers that 70% of our acquisition of knowledge comes from experience, 20% of it comes from social interaction, and only 10% is attributed to formal learning or training and qualifications that we might have along our careers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andres. Couldn't have described it any better myself. Okay, so we need to see all of those elements, those 3 elements, demonstrated in your assessment. Now, in terms of formatting, you are expected to produce a half-page executive summary as well as a table of contents. Your proposal should contain key headings and subheadings. You know, make it stand out, okay? You want to get it to stand out to senior management. You want to make it easy to read. So do use key headings and subheadings. As I said, the more structured, the better. Make sure your paragraphs are written in an academic way, so they're well structured with a topic, sentence, body, and conclusion. In a business report, you can use bullet points and numbering as appropriate, so that can be very effective to make certain things stand out in your report. Make sure you include a reference list and appropriately in-text reference all your sources. Okay, now again, in terms of referencing requirements, we use Academy of Management for both in-text and reference list. We prefer high quality academic sources, so peer-reviewed journal articles. You've been asked to include a minimum of 10 academic articles in this assessment, but you can also use other supporting sources such as practitioner articles. But remember, these are supplementary to your academic sources. You can provide supporting material in your appendix, and of course, remember you'll be including your learning and development proposal in there. Okay. Any questions? I thought we've got a few minutes left. I can just go through the marking rubric with you. I think that's important so you know how this assignment's going to be marked.
Very fast. Just one question here.
Sure.
The appendix, the plan, should it be like really detailed or not, or a little example?
Sorry, did you say detailed?
Yeah. How detailed should it be?
I would expect to see, because you'll be referring to your plan extensively in your proposal. So I'd expect to see, I'd expect to see not too detailed because the detail will be contained in your proposal. So you could probably get your plan on 1 or 2 pages, I would have thought.
Okay. So the proposal is part of the 108, well, the 18 1,800 words, right?
So 1,800 words will include from the start of your proposal. So I usually take it from, you know, where you first start writing after the table of contents and stuff. I will include your executive summary. So I'll take it from executive summary. It doesn't include the reference list, but it will include in-text references, and it does not include the appendix.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. All right, how about then I grab up the rubric and we can just have a quick chat through it so you know how this is going to be marked. So firstly, your business proposal. So we're looking for a very professional, well-written proposal. 10% will go to executive summary. So here, your executive summary, we've said no more than half a page, needs to be clear, concise, succinct, and a summary of the key points in your proposal. So you clearly present your interventions. Executive summaries should stand alone, and you want to create a mood in your executive summary which makes the reader want to keep reading your proposal. So they need to be very well written. Okay, next criteria, group or content analysis. So here we're looking for an excellent analysis of gaps. So gap analysis, we're looking for specific competencies that need to be addressed for the team leaders, and the ability to apply theory and your analysis to the case study, and then come up with excellent intervention ideas to address those. So here we're looking mainly at analysis and application of theory, and that your interventions are relevant and address what you have presented there. What else have we got here? Okay, so 30% of the mark here goes to intervention, theory, and critical evaluation. Okay, so here we're looking at your interventions, and that they are, you know, easy to understand, insightful, original, demonstrate critical thinking, and apply the theory that you have presented. So they're very important, 30% of the grade. Research and evidence. So again, we're looking at the quality of your sources, that you've met the requirements for the minimum of 10 academic references. The sources and evidence that you have used is relevant and focused on your discussion. So that's worth 20%. And then finally, structure and organisation. So here we're looking for a very well-structured professional report that's easy to understand. Your key points stand out. It's well integrated, logical, and well supported. So I urge you to plan your proposal, think about your headings and subheadings, and make sure that they lead towards your interventions. Okay, I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you about these at the moment. Is there any questions on what I've gone through with you so far?
What would the date be for that Monday, for that, if we're going to
let me have a look. So the web conference was going to be in week 6 on Thursday the 16th. So let me just pull up my calendar. Thursday the 16th of Feb. No, that's actually it's a Friday. Okay, it looks like it would be Monday the 12th of February. Does that suit you guys? Monday the 12th of February, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Okay, good. That seems to suit you guys. That's good. We'll get that out to everyone else. Excellent. So when you come to that web conference, obviously you will have been well and truly progressed with your learning and development proposal. So we can use our time to go through any questions that you've got, give you some feedback maybe on what you've done, and then we'll talk about assessment for the video. That's due in week 7. Cool. All right, guys. Well, before I sign off, has anyone got any questions? Everyone's good? Well, keep working hard on your discussions and your reflections. Only a few more to go. I'll see you in a couple of weeks for Web Conference 6.
Thanks, Mel.
All right. See you, Dario. Take care. Everyone else good? See you, Andres. Have I answered all your questions? Awesome. And Geo, you sorted? Geo sorted too. All right, guys, I'll close up our meeting now. All the best. Thank you.
Good day. See ya.
Bye.